Hey YouTube, Tyrant60 here to talk about politics. Yay, everyone's favorite discussion. I'm in the dark here. I haven't had much time lately. You can see I have my playoff beard going. Um, yeah, let's jump into this. So, uh, 2020 is right around the corner, and just as 2018 was happening, it's not 2018, just as 2015 was happening and Hillary Clinton was put in the forefront of the DNC, like, oh, she's gonna be she's the most qualified person ever to be president ever because she was first lady and Secretary of State, but she did a bad job. But that same sort of language is come out a little bit about Joe Biden, and he's been on TV a bunch, and he's been at town halls, and his if it were a horse race, the phone fell. Come back. Okay. If it were a horse race, he would be the horse that right out of the gate falls and breaks his leg, because it couldn't really be worse for him. And here's why. So, 8 women have already come out and said that he has touched them inappropriately. And the DNC reacted exactly how you would expect them to react. Very visceral and angry at these women who came out. And unlike Kavanaugh or Trump, there is actual video evidence from the Oval Office of Biden touching girls inappropriately. This is in a public setting in front of people with video cameras and taking photographs of things actually happening. If you don't believe me, look for yourself. It's all over the internet. Biden touching girls inappropriately, whispering in their ear, brushing their hair back, putting his hands on their shoulders, having their moms complain to him, and maybe a little like flirty, like, oh no, you don't do that, and Biden, shrugging it off as he normally would. And I'll get into the DNC reaction a little bit more, but first I want to talk about Trump's accusers and Kavanaugh's accusers. Before Trump's accusers, we do also have when Trump had an audio recording played of a private conversation that happened between him and someone else in a tour bus, or a bus of some sort, where Trump says, oh, something, grab him by the pussy or whatever. He has never, ever lived that down, and that was a private conversation that someone was recording without his consent. I do agree it's not necessarily locker room talk, but I have heard men say things like that without women around. It is a terrible thing to say, but it's not actually doing that. Indefensible, sure, but still, one instance in private conversation, another instance publicly, Oval Office, grabbing children. More examples. So the Trump accusers, when the Trump accusers came out, a lot of them were lined up. They went through the whole court system, and it was during the beginning of the Believe All Women #MeToo movement, and the consensus then was we have to believe them, even if you don't have evidence, you have to believe them. And it continued into the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. It was 35, 40 years ago when he was in high school and a teenager, and there was some weirdness that happened. And one of the key witnesses to the thing in court backed off on her initial statement of it was rape, and it turned into maybe it was just drunk sex. And that went out the window, but still, people on the left were like, we have to believe these women. They're victims of this teenager who had drug sex. Fast forward to today with Joe Biden. you have Joe Biden, who on video is inappropriately touching children, and there are 8 people have come out, and instead of the Believe All Women mantra that has been going on from the mouths of people in the Democratic Party, the Believe All Women mantra is now, oh, they're just doing it for attention. They're just paid to do it. The excuses that people would claim that the Republicans would make up about the Kavanaugh hearing, or the people who were coming out against Trump were saying, and it's absurd. And this really reminds me of 25 years ago with Monica Lewinsky, when she came out and about what happened with her and Bill Clinton in the Oval Office, and the people in the Democratic Party really railed against her. They were saying, like, oh, she's an office slut, that never happened, she's just doing it for money. And of course, after Bill Clinton finally, after lying to the American people, finally came out and said, yeah, I know she did that for me in the Oval Office. Then Monica Lewinsky's political career is still over after that, because of something that I don't know exactly what happened there, but I would say of the 2 people in that situation, she was the one who had less power in that instance. And now, again with the Biden thing, Alyssa Milano comes out and says, defending Joe Biden, that she says that, oh, it's just his culture. He just is like that. And it's like, well, his culture, he's like that. He's just randomly touching little girls. That's okay when? If ever? And then the last thing, to wrap this up, Joe Biden was on The View to do some damage control over these instances. And he had all the girls at the table of The View, and Joe Biden was met with a warm reception of applause. And Joy Behar, who is a very vocal supporter of anyone on the left, says to him, these women have come out and accused you. What do even if you did do it, what would you say? And he was like, he didn't have words. He couldn't put a clear sentence together. He was just, I don't know, things happen, and then, I don't know if I'm doing wrong or whatever. Look it up. It's very uncomfortable, very cringeworthy. That one interview could end his campaign for 2020. It got so bad on The View that, I forget who, maybe it was Whoopi, says to Joe Biden, well, why don't you just say that you're sorry, you didn't mean it, you won't do it again? And Joe Biden still didn't do it. He still didn't say it. He doubled down on his denial of guilt, which might actually, it's unfortunate that he wasn't prepped really for this situation, because these videos of him stroking the hair of little girls and put his hands on their shoulders, maybe getting a side boob grab for a 14-year-old, those videos of him have been out for at least 5 years. He was in the middle of Obama's run in office when he has these instances where he's touching children. So the 14-year-old girl, he's grabbing little side boob bombs, 19 years old now. She's an adult. She's allowed to come out and sue Joe Biden. And in closing, this is a good thing, because Joe Biden's a piece of shit. If you're gonna be touching children inappropriately in public, what else are you gonna do in private? Like we hear a lot about people who have done things to children, and you never expect it. Unbelievable, I had no idea it was happening. This, it's happening, and if what is happening with a video camera and a team of photographers in front of you, how fucking bad do you have to be in private when you have the money and power to do whatever you want to any children, anywhere, anytime? And that's children. That's not just women. So fuck you, DNC, for putting Joe Biden up as a 2020 candidate and then railing against anyone who complains about being touched inappropriately. Fuck you guys. You did it before with Bill Clinton, and you tried to defend the Clintons for his entire time in office. And then when Hillary Clinton came up and tried to become president of the United States, you tried to say that she was the best candidate or most qualified person to ever run for president. And meanwhile, Bill Clinton's the guy who put mandatory minimums, who has put more black people in prison than any other legislative action in the history of people in the Oval Office. So you're trying to get with Joe Biden. You're just trying to push someone in. Meanwhile, DNC, you have a ton of other very worthy candidates. Beto O'Rourke, I don't know as much as I should about him, but I like him a whole lot better than Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders, I don't agree with everything he says, but I like him more than Joe Biden. Kamala Harris, don't like her, but like her more than I like Joe Biden. But Joe Biden's the guy you want, so you're going to do whatever it takes to get Joe Biden up there. And if you put fucking Joe Biden up against Donald Trump, you get what you freaking deserve when you have another 4 years in office of Donald Trump. So, pardon my French. I've dropped about 5 or 6 F-bombs. I'm very upset about this. But if you watch this whole thing, thanks for watching. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.